Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of FSi DFS Fantasy Baseball Picks. I'm your host, Mike Ruler 31. Great day again yesterday. Wow, I had another takedown of the early slate with Kershaw and Ray as pitchers and Giants and the right one-offs in the lineup. And then at night, I talked about in the video, playing a Mets stack against Strider because he's given up like home runs, and I took all the lefties there, and I got the grand slam from Nemo. I got I had J Rom in that lineup. He had 3 home runs. As a one off, I played some Cleveland. I had Adele in there, who I talked about in the video because he was cheap in the outfield. He had a home run. Ward, and then even with negative pitching with Verlander, Detmers was the highest scoring pitcher on the slate. It was just crazy. That one was a takedown, but that one did quite well. So looking forward to another great day here. We've got a massive 13-game slate, so let's get going with this one to get you on your way for your weekend. So first game, we have the Mets and the Pirates. We have McGill and Rich Hill. McGill, not interested in. Rich Hill, I mean, maybe potentially. The Mets have struggled. Alonso, again, the Mets have struggled. I know they put up like 10 runs last night, but they also had like 10 strikeouts. So we'll have to see if Alonso's in the lineup or not. I do kind of like him in the Mets bats here in a GPP, especially the righties, especially if Alonso is in the lineup. Yeah, I'd probably take Alvarez as a one-off. He's hitting in like the 2 spot. This guy is just on fire. He is just crushing it as a rookie, having a phenomenal season. Pittsburgh, I don't mind either. On the other side here against McGill, Marcano leading off at 2-4, or Schwitzky, who has had several home runs against righties at 3-4. I wouldn't really stack the team fully, but if you need some of these cheap pieces to make your lineup work, especially if like Bay, Hedges is always a cheap catcher at 2-4. There's some nice Pittsburgh pieces to put in your lineup to sprinkle in to get in the pitching and the bats that you might need. Kansas City Royals and Baltimore, a little bit of rain, 50%, but then it drops off at like the first pitch. So it might be like an hour delay or so, but they should be perfectly fine playing this game. Wind blowing out, 73 degrees. Daniel Lynch and Tyler Wells. Lynch has been okay recently. Baltimore's, their offense hasn't been clicking as much as it has recently with some injuries, but they're always the one that has the potential to go out and put up a big game. Tyler Wells has been super solid recently also, and Kansas City has struggled at times. So I think both pitchers are definitely in play here. Lynch in the cheap range and Wells second favorite in the mid range. And then bat wise, I think Baltimore in 150 max just because of the recent struggles, and Kansas City would be a leverage play because Wells might pick up some ownership just based on his current form. Los Angeles Dodgers and Philadelphia Phillies. Again, some rain here potentially, but it's only about 30% to 20%, so they should be perfectly fine. Wind is blowing in here. It's only like 70 miles, 70 miles per hour, 70 degrees here. Michael Grove and Ranger Suarez. Both pitchers get the X. Not interested in either one. Dodgers probably favorite stack on the slate here. Very expensive, hard to get to. I don't think so. Bets Will Smith and JD would be my priority here. Not playing Muncy and Freeman. Suarez is a good ground ball pitcher against lefties, and just really hard to get a lot of production out of that. Chris Taylor, love him. Usually against the lefty, usually plays somewhere, hits like in the middle of the lineup, has multiple position eligibility. And then Vargas or maybe DeLuca, I don't know much about him, but he's only 2-4. So, or Rojas. There's a lot of cheap Dodgers to make your stack work if you want to go full 5-man here and do like a wraparound or something like that with them. So definitely keep them in consideration for a team to play today. Philadelphia on their side, I think I like them too. Fourth favorite stack here. Definitely take the lefties against Grove. He struggled against them. So Schwarber, Harper, Stott, even if you want to go like March or Cody Clemens, are perfectly fine. Castellanos hits both sides well. Turner has been doing better. So if you want to go full Philly stack, that's fine. But if just you want to make a mini stack, just focus on the lefties. Red Sox and Yankees, a little rain here too, 50%, then drops down to 20%. Those games should be fine also. Wind blowing out 4 miles per hour, 67 degrees. So a little bit cooler, a little bit damp. Wind helps a little bit in the ballpark. Garrett Whitlock's a no. Garrett Cole is coming back from an injury. So I don't know. I have him as like my fifth favorite high price pitcher, but I don't know if I'm gonna have any Cole here. I might actually, throw a Red Sox stack out against him because I'm just kind of scared. I've seen bad Garrett Cole, and it doesn't end well. And it could be a Strider thing. He could give up 8 runs and have 8 strikeouts against them. So we'll see what happens. But there's so many other options. I don't think Cole. I need to go on Cole here. So Boston Bat's favorite leverage stack here against Cole, and the Yankees I think are in play as a top GPP stack because Whitlock has really struggled, and Calhoun's hit okay, Rizzo's hit okay, Torres has been good all season, and Stanton's there. Bowers, Donaldson. There's enough in this lineup to make it work against him. Twins and the Blue Jays, Sonny Gray and Kikuchi. Sonny Gray has really struggled recently. He started out the season good, and I mean, there was a couple of videos where I was like, "Don't play Sonny Gray," and then he went out there and had masterful 30-point DK performance. It was the best pitcher on the slate, and I was like, "Oh, missed that one." And then we played him for a little bit, and then he's just kind of trailed off recently. He's 9.5. The price is decent. He's against the Blue Jays, all right-handed lineup, but he's been very good against right-handed lineups, and he's faced a lot of low K teams recently. The Blue Jays aren't a high K team, but I think in a GPP he might get enough done to get you 15 DK points. So and 9.5 is not the greatest, but it doesn't have a ton of upside, but I think there's a little bit of floor there in a GPP to consider him. And Kikuchi on the other side I think is the ultimate GPP pitcher because he's so volatile. The Twins strike out a lot also. Polanco is a hamstring injury, so he might be out of the lineup. You still have a watered down lineup because Buxton's still out of the lineup, and I think there's a couple others that have been struggling with injuries. So it's not your Twins lineup of a month ago. But I do like the Twins in the fact that they're so cheap and that some of them have been hitting well, and Kikuchi kind of give up some runs and some power to look at some of them as one-offs or cheap fill-ins for your lineup. Toronto side GPP stack. Houston and Cleveland Guardians. Christian Javier has been okay. I mean, Cleveland put up some runs yesterday, obviously against Boston, but that was against a rookie pitcher. Not a rookie pitcher, but a pitcher that was called up from AAA to fill in as a spot start. But it pretty much was just Jose Ramirez was the only one that really figured out how to hit again. So I think Javier's will be perfectly fine here. Probably my fourth favorite pitcher on the slate. Logan Allen on the other side, not super interested in here. He might be okay. I think there's better pitchers in the 7K range, but this Houston lineup, I've dropped them down to fourth in GPP. Alvarez might be out. He's banged up now. Altuve's been struggling with stuff. Brantley's still not back. Abreu forgot how to hit a baseball since he's left Chicago. Jukas can show some power so often, but McCormick, Myers are just kind of speed guys at the bottom of they play solid outfield, but Houston doesn't really scare me as much anymore. They're becoming a high level mid-range offense versus an elite one they've been in years past. And then Cleveland, I'm not really interested in them. Maybe leverage against Javier, but probably fit more in the 150 max. If you think J Rom's on a heater and you want to pay up for him at third base, which his price isn't bad. It's only 4.9 after a 3 home run game. So, if you think that he's onto something, then, streaks are a thing in baseball. So potentially as a one-off, but I wouldn't touch any other Guardian in my lineups. Washington and the Braves, Josiah Gray and AJ Smith Shawver. Josiah Gray is an absolute no. Braves, I think, are third favorite stack on the slate behind San Diego and Coors and the Dodgers in a great matchup. AJ Smith Shawver here. I like him here. They brought him up. He pitched against Arizona out of the bullpen, won a couple of innings, did pretty good. He's an elite prospect. He's got a lot of stuff, and he's got a Washington team who I know can be a death by 1,000 cuts type of offense. They don't have a ton of power, but they can like little gnats gnaw away at you here and there. But I think he'll be perfectly fine. I think, at 6.5, it's a fair price, and I really like him in the cheap range as a SP2. Even in cash, if you want to. I think there's like some better plays, but he's definitely in play in all formats there. And I'll have him in a couple lineups tonight. Bat wise, Washington, no. Not interested in them. And then looking at the Braves, I think the Braves are just going to tee off on Josiah Gray here. Like they put up, like it was just like it looked like a KBO game last night where like the starting pitchers who you thought would be good give up runs, and then the bullpen holds them down a little bit, but then they have like runs towards the end, and the Braves come back and hit like a walk-off home run. I think it was just like crazy. So the Braves have an elite offense. They're definitely there and can put up a bunch of runs for you. So really like them. I don't know how I don't have Washington on here. Maybe I have somebody up here twice, which I don't care, but Washington would just go in the 150 max category over here. So next, I've got Oakland play. So I got Oakland is cheap and 150 max. So let's put Washington here. There we go. Marlins and Chicago White Sox, Perez and Dylan Cease. Uvi Perez, he's just phenomenal. He is a great prospect. White Sox have struggled recently. The wind is blowing in here at 10 miles per hour. A lot of people would probably say if this was in Miami that Uvi would probably be their highest owned pitcher on the slate. But with the wind blowing in Chicago, I think it's just as good as Miami. So sign me up. Really like Uvi Perez here. Cisse on the other side, I think I'm okay with also the Marlins. They still don't have Jazz back. They can hit here and there, but they just really haven't consistently shown a lot of pop. So bat-wise, Marlins being 150 max. And the White Sox, I think you could I think they're at 150 max also against Perez here. Not interested in either offense, especially with the wind blowing in here. Oakland and the Brewers. Oakland has an open-ender situation, a long reliever. Not interested in either pitcher. Hauser, 6K against Oakland. Not a great pitcher, but against Oakland at 6K, I think he's my favorite cheap pitcher on the slate. Won't get a ton of strikeouts, but he goes deep into the games. I think if he can get you 6 innings, get you the win, get your quality start on FanDuel, get a couple Ks, does his job. It opens up so much to get some of these great bats that we're looking in at tonight. And Oakland bats, again, Hauser's not a great pitcher. I noticed been on a hitting streak recently. Seth Brown's decent. Peterson, Ruiz can steal some bases. There's I don't see Rook in the lineup. I don't know if he got hurt or what's going on. I have to check into that. But maybe they're just giving him a day off. Maybe it's bereavement, maybe paternity. I see like a lot of dudes are having kids this season. So yeah, so Oakland, I think you can use the cheap fill-ins. Like you got so many cheap fill-in options. And Milwaukee is my favorite cheap fill-in one here against this Oakland team and Oakland bullpen. Like Miller's been solid. I think he's almost hitting 400. The top of the order, Adames is back and doing well. Contreras is good. Yelich, I don't think I pay up for him. Anderson's usually reasonable, hitting 5th. Urias is back. His price has come up. It was dirt cheap when he first started. He was like only minimum price. Now he's up to like 3.6. Tellus has some power there against righties, which would probably, if he's down the lineup or second time around, we'll have the long reliever there. So, and Weimer continues to just at a really cheap price, just produce. He's shown power. He's shown everything. He's not like a superstar, but he's kind of a very underrated player that hits down the bottom of the order, but you get solid production out of all the time. I love throwing him in lineups if I need a cheap outfielder to make things work. Cincinnati Reds and the St. Louis Cardinals, Ben Lively and Jordan Montgomery. Ben Lively has been really solid recently, and St. Louis has really struggled to score runs. They haven't scored, I think, more than 5 runs in probably 3 weeks. I think it's been something like that. So, again, they're Jekyll and Hyde offense. They could snap and go off. And the Mets have been like that too, and so many other offenses this year. So, but it's in St. Louis, not the Great American Small Park. The wind is blowing in a little bit, 80 degrees. So okay hitting weather, but not great hitting weather. So Lively I like. Montgomery has been struggling recently. I'm not playing him. The Reds make another good cheap stack that you can put people on to fill in your lineup or as a secondary stack. And then St. Louis, again, if you want to take them as a GPP, that's fine. I'd do a full stack. I wouldn't take one-offs there against Lively. Coors Field, San Diego Padres, and Colorado Rockies. Yu Darvish and Anto Gomber. Darvish is intriguing. I have him in the no interest one. At 8K, I mean, we've seen the Rockies struggle even at Coors this season. So they're still missing like Chris Bryant out of the lineup and Cron. So but they have brought up some decent people like Jones and Doyle. So it kind of balances out. They're not as good as the other ones, but they have been good. Like Jones had a really good day yesterday. So Darvish 50-50 on, so I'm going to leave him on the no interest one. But if you want to put him in, if you're doing 150 maxes, then have like 5% Darvish. He could have a night, but the wind is blowing out 11 miles per hour here. It is 69 degrees, so it does make good for good hitting weather. Austin Gomber on their side, I said absolutely no. Padres second favorite stack on the slate here. They'd be my favorite stack for the second game in Coors, but for some reason, sometimes the first game in Coors adjusting to the air or whatever just doesn't always translate. And the Padres have a great lineup on paper. I go back to Leaf Flower, Pittsburgh Steeler quote, like probably about 20 years ago about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when we called them paper champions. And that's what the Padres are. They have like these lineup that looks so great on paper, but you would think every single game they'd be scoring 8, 9, 10 runs, but it just isn't happening. So yes, I know they've had some injuries. Machado's been out. So, but I do like him as favorite stack against the lefty here, like Kim Chichip at the top of the lineup. But I still wouldn't count out Cronenworth. Tatis, Soto lefty and lefty's fine. Machado, Gary Sanchez has just kind of found himself again. Even Dixon's really cheap at 2.8. First base, outfield. Nola at catcher is cheap at 2.7. So there's a lot of pieces of this lineup that work in your stack. In Colorado, I think against Darvish with his struggles, probably more of a GPP, but I have him as the top the fifth top stack here. So I focus more on the lefties. So I hate playing Blackman, but you can throw him in there. But Profar, McMahon, Jones hitting fifth, like probably more of a mini stack, but I'm fine with that too. Okay, great pitching matchup here. We have Seattle and the Los Angeles Angels, Castillo and Ohtani. Even though the Angels put up some runs and they have this powerful offense, they're not great against a solid right-handed pitcher. So I think Castillo will be fine there, can get some strikeouts. And Ohtani on the other side, Seattle has just really struggled. St. Louis struggled. I mean, I think those teams are on the same course here. So I think Ohtani should have a pretty masterful night and could probably put up 25 or 30 DK points for you. So try to get him in. If you can't, I get it, because if you want to play LAD, the Dodgers, San Diego or Atlanta or Philly for bat-wise, but I said, I've given you enough options with Milwaukee, Cincinnati, Minnesota, and Pittsburgh, and even Oakland as fill-ins that you should be able to make it work here. So both pitchers, bat-wise, I think, they're just both leverage stacks. There's really nobody, like, I realize it's all righties. You can't play Ohtani lefty against them. It just doesn't make sense if you're trying to hedge 150 max, maybe, but I just go with stacks, not one-offs, and I don't think it's going to work out for you. I think the pitchers are going to do really well. Another decent pitching matchup here is Stroman and DeStefani for the Cubs against San Francisco. Stroman, I think, once you have a team coming out of Coors Field, and they didn't really put up a ton of runs at Coors Field like we thought they would against some really bad pitchers. So San Francisco, definitely, again, another team that Jekyll and Hyde that has potential to put up a lot of runs, but then sometimes absolutely lays an egg. So I think Stroman's decent here, and DeSclafani hasn't had the greatest season, but the Cubs, again, can go silent. So I think both of them would be, bat-wise, would be in 150 max, but not really looking forward to playing either one of them, and I think both pitchers are going to play. So let's look at some lineup builds to get you away for your weekend. So Ohtani, definitely taking him here. And I can definitely get some Padres in. So if I'm mixing in Milwaukee, so Gary Sanchez a catcher, like I said, Dixon fills in good at first base, or Cronenworth. Miller from usually leading off from Milwaukee there is cheap enough second base. So give me Machado, give me Kim, Tatis. Don't know if I'll get up to Soto. I'll have to see if I can figure that in. It all depends on who I take in my SP2. But there's great options like Hauser and Smith-Schwarber that are cheap enough to make it work. FanDuel, I think I'm going to take Perez. It's hard to get up to Ohtani and get good stacks in. So if you can make it work, then by all means, Castillo, Cisse, Javier, if you want to take one of those ones. But I really like Perez. I really like how far he's gone into the games, gotten quality starts, gotten enough Ks to make it work. So give me Tellis or Contreras at first base, at second base, Cronenworth or somebody for Milwaukee there. Machado, Tatis, Soto are the priorities that I am taking for the Padres. And Miller, as I said, he's second base eligible, but I'm playing him in outfield in my stack here. And then for GPPs, you can go so many ways tonight, but I'm taking Perez for DK. And then again, I'll probably take a cheap SP2, but give me the Dodgers here. Will Smith. This should be Solano from Minnesota. Should be leading off if Polanco's not there. Second base, really cheap. Correa, Betts, and Taylor. And then just figure out what other Dodgers you want to put in to make your stack work, and then round it off with the rest of Minnesota guys. Or again, if you can go Cincinnati here, you can go Milwaukee again, you can go to the Pittsburgh guys. There's so many different ways to make it work to get a Dodger stack in, and maybe even get a decent SP2. For your GPP, Hauser, then again, I'm taking Dodgers and mixing in Minnesota. So Will Smith, Polanco, if he's in, if not, Farmer works at second base. Taylor, Correa, Betts, and then fill in probably JG Martinez would be a priority in both DK and FanDuel as a right-handed bat, and then whoever works out in your utility. So that's what I got. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the chat below. Hit me up at MegaRotor31 on Twitter. If these videos are helpful for you, and hopefully you've watched over the last couple of days and had some of the same success, I love seeing the comments and on Twitter and on Discord, and when we hit on some good plays and you play them and you make some money and take some things down. We had some great success in NASCAR, and we'll have 2 videos for that coming up this weekend also for the Xfinity race in Sonoma and the Cup race. So we're trying hard to do the research and to find some nuggets for you that maybe some other people aren't talking about to help you build your lineups and be successful in DFS sports. So if we're helping you, please help us back. Like the video, share with your friends, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. That just continues to boost the algorithm to get us out to more and more people out there, to help more and more people. So thank you so much for your viewership. We really appreciate it. And if you want more information on FSi DFS, you can go into the description of the video. The link to our website's there. You can see all our packages. We're very, very, very cheap to sign up for just for baseball or VIP package covering everything. So many good things going on. So thanks again for watching. Hope you have a great weekend. McKinley should have the video tomorrow, so I'll probably be back Monday or Tuesday. So hope you have a great weekend. Check out my NASCAR videos, and I'll see you next time.